Who is replacing Paul Heyman in Solo Sikoa's Bloodline? CM Punk is jealous of Drew McIntyre's new WWE contract. Congratulations to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Shinsuke Nakamura's WWE future update. Chris Jericho's WWE return. The real reason why Vince McMahon signed Cody Rhodes. The huge difference between Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy of the Wyatt Sicks. Roman Reigns' return already in motion. And more. Let's dive right in. CM Punk is jealous of Drew McIntyre's new WWE contract. A former WWE superstar recently addressed a rumor about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Punk is reportedly jealous of McIntyre's new contract amid their feud on WWE television. On the latest episode of The Ryback Show, Ryback's co-host Mike shared that there were stories about Punk being jealous of his current rival. The Second City Saint was reportedly unhappy about finding out the details of the Scottish Warrior's wages. He knows. Even though his downside, he probably wasn't going to get what he wanted. But he knows, potentially with the royalties, he's going to make his money if he's used, and because his merchandise has always sold out. To his credit, with all of that, he's a very jealous individual. It's crazy, and that's just how he is. He needs drama and conflict in his life to wake up every day, unfortunately, and it's never going to change. Ryback said. Ryback and CM Punk have had their differences over the years, although the big guy credited his former rival for being a merchandise mover. Punk recently returned to WWE, and there have been no reported problems with him backstage. Drew McIntyre has seemingly had enough of CM Punk after the former WWE champion screwed him out of the World Heavyweight Championship once again. Punk showed up at Clash at the Castle in Scotland to low-blow McIntyre, and helped Damian Priest retain his title. The Scottish Warrior quit on WWE Raw before returning to SmackDown in Chicago to attack his heated rival. The attack was so bad that Punk was coughing up blood and needed urgent medical attention. McIntyre finally addressed his attack via social media, speaking about how every action will have a violent reaction. Here we are, just over a week since Glasgow, I'm finally home. I should be champion, but I'm not. Just reflecting. Newton's third law, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Drew's law, for every action, there will be a violent reaction like you've never seen if you deserve it, McIntyre said. CM Punk remains out of action due to the attack, and it's unclear if he's already been given the green light to return from his torn tricep injury. With SummerSlam about a month away, Punk vs. McIntyre is a main event-worthy matchup due to their heated rivalry. Congratulations to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. WWE superstar Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are one of the most notable power couples in the pro wrestling world. The duo has gone from strength to strength in their 4 years together, and they recently celebrated a huge milestone in their journey. The couple first started seeing each other in early 2019. They did not take long to make their relationship public, and were even engaged within a year of dating. The duo welcomed their first child, Rue, in December 2020, before tying the knot 6 months later. The pair got married on June 29, 2021, and they just celebrated their third marriage anniversary. Becky Lynch sent a heartfelt message to Seth Rollins on Instagram to commemorate the occasion. 3 years. Where do I get off being so lucky? Lynch wrote. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins have worked together in storylines in the past. The man recently recalled the start of her real-life relationship with the Visionary, getting candid about how she fell in love with the former WWE champion. I feel like there was always a deep connection with him. There was always a bond. He used to tease me, but in a way that was so loving. I'd always run up to him and I'd tell him these stupid jokes and he'd tell me I was the worst and then we'd go our separate ways. But I would always look forward to seeing him so much. He was the person, if we had a joint pay-per-view event, that I would look forward to seeing the most. I just loved hanging around with him. Lynch noted that in 2019 their schedules often clashed, leading to them spending a lot more time together. I would see a lot more of him, and anytime we came together we'd have these chats and we were both going through stuff in our own relationships. I had been unceremoniously ghosted at the time, which was for the best, thank God, and we bonded over these things. Then we were just both single and free and had no ideas of any attachment, and one thing led to another, and then here we are, 5 years later. Becky Lynch's WWE contract expired following King and Queen of the Ring 2024. The man has since been away from pro wrestling, raising questions about her future in the business. Seth Rollins has been away from the ring since WrestleMania XL. He recently made his return and is set to lock horns with Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank. Shinsuke Nakamura's WWE future update. Considered one of the most well-liked and respected names on the WWE roster, it looks like Shinsuke Nakamura has no plans of leaving the Stamford-based promotion anytime soon. The WWE star recently revealed his big aspirations moving forward. Shinsuke arrived in the WWE in 2016 as a Japanese wrestling legend, and after a strong run in NXT, has had a rather underwhelming time on the main roster. Even though he enjoyed a resurgence under the new regime, WWE doesn't seem to view Shinsuke Nakamura as a main event player, leaving many to question his long-term status in the company. During his appearance at UFC 303, Shinsuke Nakamura spoke to Aaron Bronstetter and was asked about his WWE role. Nakamura looked back at his 8-year run in WWE and revealed he wanted to continue wrestling for the Stamford-based organization. There are still many dream scenarios that the former IWGP champion hopes to accomplish in the promotion, as he noted below. Yeah, so I have been wrestling for over 8 years right now in WWE. So I want to keep wrestling in WWE. So I want to give fans more dream matches. So that's what I want to do. Known as the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke was quite a big deal when he first landed on American shores to work for WWE. His hard-hitting, strike-based offensive style was a welcome addition to the NXT product. Shinsuke Nakamura believes he was instrumental in the Japanese style becoming more prominent on the mainstream level. Despite his seemingly groundbreaking contributions, Nakamura stated he was just a challenger and wanted to change that tag. I want to show the passion. Also, I brought the Japanese style to WWE, but I still think I'm not accomplished. I'm still a challenger who keeps challenging. The booking of Nakamura might be a matter of constant debate amongst wrestling fans, but the 44-year-old sounds as motivated as ever to regain some momentum and get back to the top. Chris Jericho's WWE return. Chris Jericho appears to be enjoying his time in AEW, but former Intercontinental Champion Ryback thinks Le Champion could return to WWE. Jericho is often considered one of the greatest stars in the business, who's wrestled all over the world in his career, stretching from the early 90s. Y2J parted ways with the Stamford-based promotion in 2017, citing frustration with Vince McMahon's booking of his match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 33. He last wrestled under the WWE umbrella during the 50-man Greatest Royal Rumble match, which Braun Strowman won. Since leaving his old stomping grounds, Chris Jericho has found success in NJPW and now AEW, where he is the current FTW champion and the leader of the Learning Tree. According to recent reports, his contract will expire in December 2025. Speaking on the Ryback TV podcast, the big guy said Chris Jericho's relationship with Triple H could come into play when his AEW deal is up. Ryback remarked, "It's going to be interesting because the WWE connection with Hunter and Power in that relationship, even though they say he knows what that's going to be. I know Chris Jericho. I will say he will play both sides if that contract comes up. He will do it, and he should, because he'll find a way to try to see if he can be valuable at either promotion. He knows how to do it," Ryback said. Regardless of where he ends up, Ryback said his next contract would be the last of his legendary career. He's at that age, though, where it's like, now it's getting borderline. It's either this is it or he gets one more and then that one's gonna be it, he added. Speaking to the Gabby AF podcast, Chris Jericho said he had no plans to leave AEW for WWE anytime soon. However, the 53-year-old stalwart isn't completely closing the door on his potential comeback. "I don't really see any reason why I would want to leave at this point. Never say that I wouldn't go, but I have zero plans of that. I like it here, and I like the people that I work with. Only time will tell whether the Demo God will return to WWE." Chris Jericho is gearing up for a trios match at AEW x NJPW Forbidden Door 3. He will join forces with Big Bill and Jeff Cobb to face Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. The real reason why Vince McMahon signed Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes returned to WWE at WrestleMania 38 to finish his story after his initial departure back in 2016. Rhodes left AEW due to personal reasons, although a former WWE superstar shared the possible reason why Vince McMahon signed him back, according to him. After spending 2 years on the independent circuit after his WWE release, Rhodes helped build AEW in 2018. He became one of the top stars of the company until he left in 2022 after he couldn't come to terms with a new contract. On the latest episode of The Ryback Show, the former Intercontinental Champion shared his opinion on why Vince McMahon personally went to Cody Rhodes and convinced him to return. Ryback thought that the then WWE chairman had a deeper reason why he pursued the American Nightmare. They probably didn't really care for Cody as much as a wrestling talent because they never really did before, even though he has proven his value. What they got, what they wanted from Cody, in my opinion, with how they do things, is for Cody being that EVP over there. They knew, and they have the ability to look long-term, that having one of the powerful persons from AEW on their roster doing well with that they would be able to get future talents easier. So that was 1000% that was not Cody, was not strictly just a talent signing, Ryback said. He added that Rhodes would be instrumental in poaching talent from AEW to WWE. That was a, hey, We may eventually want a Wardlow or a Ricky Starks or a Jade Cargill. We need somebody that was essentially everybody's boss over there over here, doing really well to tell them how good it is. That was 1000% part of the reason Vince flying with Pritchard. That's how they make moves. After returning at WrestleMania 38, Cody Rhodes won his first feud back with Seth Rollins before a torn pectoral muscle put him on the shelf for the rest of 2022. Rhodes returned at the Royal Rumble and earned an opportunity to dethrone Roman Reigns. However, Rhodes fell short at WrestleMania 39 and went on a year-long journey to finish his story. He won the Royal Rumble match for the second year in a row, while also overcoming the combined power play from the Tribal Chief and the Final Boss. At WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, the American Nightmare realized his lifelong dream and became the undisputed WWE Champion. Cody Rhodes is also considered the face of the company now, especially with Reigns and The Rock on hiatus. The huge difference between Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy of the Wyatt Sicks. Former WWE star Stevie Richards recently spoke about the difference between Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt. WWE recently introduced the Wyatt Sicks on Raw as a new faction on the Red brand. Dallas showed up as Uncle Howdy, leading the Wyatt Sicks. This week on WWE Raw, he revealed that he wanted to be like his brother. Bo claimed everyone had forgotten about the Eater of Worlds, but he and Uncle Howdy made them all remember. On a recent episode of The Stevie Richards Show, the veteran noted there was a distinct difference in how WWE presented the Wyatt Sicks and Bray. He felt it was possibly due to the Vince McMahon regime when Bray was operating. I believe the 2 weeks that we saw the Wyatt Sicks, especially with Bo Dallas in week 2, sit-down interview with himself, is better than anything else Bray Wyatt did. Already better than what Bray Wyatt did, and just hear me out on this. It's not because of Bray, and it's not because of Bo even. It's because of who is producing or allowing these segments to be produced, which I believe Bray was not allowed to do that. During the same conversation, Richards mentioned how Bray Wyatt possibly had to negotiate about creative with Vince McMahon. He detailed that Bray possibly had to let go of a couple of ideas, just so he could hold on to one that was dear to him. I believe Bray had to play that game with Vince McMahon. He had to play that game of, all right, I'll give Vince these 2 things, and maybe I can get this one thing that I'm really thinking is going to be great. And that's kind of the story of being a pro wrestler and dealing with creative. The veteran felt that was part of being a wrestler and working together with the producers and creative team to get your ideas across. Roman Reigns' return already in motion. Roman Reigns has been absent from WWE television since his defeat at WrestleMania XL. However, a former host at the Stamford-based promotion recently predicted that he would be back at an upcoming premium live event. The former host in question is Matt Camp. On a recent episode of the Busted Open podcast, he addressed the Bloodline's attack on Paul Heyman last Friday on SmackDown. The assault happened after the Wiseman refused to acknowledge Solo Sikoa as his tribal chief. After getting destroyed by his former stablemates, the 58-year-old left the arena in an ambulance. The former Raw Talk host believes that Sikoa and his associates' actions towards Heyman are a significant hint that Reigns' return has already been set in motion. He claimed the former undisputed WWE Universal Champion would probably come back at SummerSlam. What happened last night, Denise, was not about Money in the Bank. This is about way more than Money in the Bank. This puts the clock now on Roman Reigns. I don't know when, but it's a short attention span theater in the world of professional wrestling. Everybody knows that. You can tell long stories, but I don't think it's 3 months down the road. It's probably 1.5. We're looking at SummerSlam right now, he said. On Sportskeeda Wrestling's Smack Talk podcast, wrestling veteran Dutch Mantel also addressed the Bloodline saga on SmackDown. Like Matt Camp, he predicted that WWE is currently preparing for Roman Reigns' comeback. The former manager claimed that the Stamford-based company would do record business when the tribal chief returned, which to him felt was going to happen very soon. Well, that was good because they got something. Now he's taken a turn. Now you can smell Roman Reigns on the horizon. When he swoops in, they're already doing record business. They're on fire. When Roman comes in, it would just continue, said Mantel. Many predict that Roman Reigns will reunite with the Usos to fight Solo Sikoa's version of the Bloodline. It would be interesting to see if that scenario would happen. What do you think will happen when Roman Reigns returns? Who is replacing Paul Heyman in Solo Sikoa's Bloodline? The Bloodline assaulted Paul Heyman at the end of SmackDown after the WWE Hall of Famer refused to acknowledge Solo Sikoa as his tribal chief. With Heyman out of the picture, Solo Sikoa's Bloodline needs a new Wiseman. There are many veterans who are solid contenders to become Sikoa's special counsel because of their links with the Bloodline in the past. So without further ado, let's take a look at 4 potential replacements for Paul Heyman in the new Bloodline. Number 1, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi. Rikishi would be one of the best choices to manage the Bloodline. He is a part of the Anoa'i family and the father of the Usos and Solo Sikoa, so he would fit the role of the new Wiseman perfectly. The new Bloodline will likely end up with The Rock as the tribal chief once he returns to replace Solo Sikoa. A feud between Roman Reigns' Bloodline and Rock's Bloodline would also plant the seeds for a singles match between the two cousins in the future. The Rock sending Rikishi would make sense as the two men have worked together in the past. During the Attitude Era, the WWE Hall of Famer ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin with a car and later confessed that he did it for The Rock. Rikishi joining the Bloodline as the new Wiseman has a strong possibility of happening, as he sent a cryptic hint about it on his podcast back in May. Number 2, Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart is one of the most legendary managers in the history of pro wrestling. He managed major stars like Hulk Hogan, the Honky Tonk Man, and was also the mouthpiece of the Hart Foundation for a while. The WWE Hall of Famer has made several appearances for the Stamford-based promotion in recent years. He would add a lot of charisma to the Bloodline if he returned and acknowledged Solo Sikoa as his tribal chief. The story about the Bloodline is the most popular angle WWE has booked in a long time, and adding Jimmy Hart to it would make it even more interesting. Besides, Paul Heyman took shots at Hart last year as the former called himself a better manager than the latter. This would be the ultimate opportunity for Hart to get back at Heyman. Number 3, Haku would be another fitting choice to replace Paul Heyman in the Bloodline. The WWE legend is closely related to the Anoa'i family and is the biological father of Tonga Loa. He also adopted Tama Tonga and his brother Hikuleo when they were very young. Hikuleo is rumored to join the Bloodline in the future, so Haku returning to manage his sons would be a very logical move. Moreover, the Stamford-based company could use Haku and his sons to plant the seeds for the formation of a purely Tongan bloodline in the future. The Rock considers Haku his uncle, so him being behind the potential return of the WWE legend would also make a lot of sense if the company goes in that direction. Number 4, Armando Estrada. Armando Estrada is another name who has history with the Anoa'i family and would prove to be a great Wiseman for the Bloodline. The 45-year-old was a part of WWE more than a decade ago and used to manage the late great Umaga. He also managed Jacob Fatu on the independent wrestling circuit and teased returning to WWE to replace Paul Heyman after the ending to the most recent episode of SmackDown. A solo Sikoa-led Bloodline being managed by Estrada would be perfect due to the fact that Sikoa considers Umaga one of his idols. He even uses the Samoan Spike as his finishing move to pay tribute to the legend.